afternoon, Santa Barbara, and welcome to Fad News.
Freaking ants, dude!
The world's one and only ant newscast. I'm your host,
Nikki Riedel.
with my co-host,
Brenna Espinoza. Hey everybody, today on Fad News, the invasive species, the Argentine ant.
Okay, Brenna, tell us a little bit about the Argentine ant. Why are these ants considered an invasive species?
Well, first, let's talk about what an invasive species is. So basically, it is an organism that migrates from their own ecosystem and invades another. More often than not, the species ends up competing with other organisms of the same niche. This is what occurred when the Argentine ant migrated from their ecosystem of Argentina to other continents around the world.
This species of ant has integrated itself into every continent except for
Antarctica.
They were first recorded in California in the year of 1907. Ever since then, they have spread across the California coast.
Unlike other types of ants, the Argentine ant do not form individual colonies with a singular queen. They form what is called a super colony. A super colony has multiple queens spread across great distances.
Because there are a great number of queens, populations increase dramatically, compared to other ant species with one queen alone. Other species of ants can differentiate between individuals from their colony and others who belong to another. Though because of the Argentines' super colonies, they do not compete against one another. They all fight for common roles.
Unlike the fire ant species, the Argentine ants are not aggressive towards humans, though they are very aggressive towards ants of other species. Argentines are known for raiding other colonies of different species, tearing their way through the hills and its inhabitants till the last. This has caused a great decrease in the diversity of ants before the Argentines' arrival in California. It had many types of ants species of various shapes and sizes, though afterwards that's no longer the case.
Now, today me.
With the arrival of Argentine ants in California, many species of ants that once inhabited our ecosystems were displaced or killed off. The Argentine has no known predator in most ecosystems. They are high in population. Because of this, they compete more effectively than native species of the same niche in finding and collecting food and resources. They are also known to be highly aggressive towards ants of other species. They commonly invade anthills, tearing other ants apart, further putting native species at a disadvantage. This causes many of these insects to die out or migrate elsewhere. Their absence causes the great diversity of ant species to diminish. In our ecosystems, this wide variety of ants perform different tasks that ecosystems depend on. The displaced native species were once essential food for predators like the coastal horned lizard. So, because of the Argentine ants, organisms are seeing a great decline in population and also a disruption in our ecosystem's food webs. The effects doesn't end here. They also harm to local agriculture and native plants. Argentine ants are known to form mutualistic relationships with pests like aphids and mealybugs. They will protect or even move pests towards places with better plants in return for honeydew they secrete. Here is an interview by FAD's own reporter Lizette Frias with Dr. Christina Bozer.
Are notorious for driving out native ant species from their habitats. How is the lack of ant biodiversity affecting California's ecosystem?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Native ants perform a lot of services, including pollination and seed dispersal. They also are food for native species like the coastal horned lizard, who requires many kinds of species of ants to prey on as the lizards grow from small to big. They need small to big ants. So we've seen significant declines in coastal horned lizards as a result of this one type of ant really dominating the system. We also have seen declines in seed production by native plants. When we removed the Argentine ants, we saw the pollinator visits start to increase, and then also the seed production of those native plants return to the same levels as areas that had never been impacted by Argentine ants. So we know that over time, these ants have the possibility of actually altering all of the plant biota of the islands and other places as a result of those plants not really being able to produce a lot of seed. Another impact that's less discussed in California but has been observed in Pacific Islands is that ants are very aggressive. I think you've probably seen them in your garden or other places, and they are very aggressive, trying to get food, and sometimes that food is things like animals, like beetles, bugs. Sometimes it's baby birds. So especially situations where maybe you have a nesting bird, maybe it's a threatened seabird colony where there are maybe, chicks that are unable to defend themselves, or brooding birds that are unable to leave the nest without abandoning the chick. You get situations where the ants swarm the bird and actually can deform the chicks to the point that they don't survive. They get into the nostrils of the chicks and really impact the survival of chicks, which obviously impacts the population status of those endangered and threatened seabirds.
Oh, we're filming.
Okay. Thanks, Damie. Now to Kim.
Thank you, Brenna. Well, when we think about ants, the first thing that pops into our heads is, well, how do we get rid of them? This is why I'm here to talk to you about some solutions that you might want to run to if you're dealing with not only a small scale but also a large scale Argentine ant infestation. When you're dealing with the small scale infestation, you might want to run to a sugar/protein based bait. These baits contain boric acid, which is not only abrasive but can also affect the exoskeleton of an ant. When an ant comes into contact with these baits, it is able to carry it back into its colony, where not only will other working ants come into contact with it, but also, and if you're lucky, the queen will as well. When you're using these baits, you have to make sure that it's slow acting, because you don't want it to kill the ant that's carrying it before it has the opportunity to also poison the rest of the colony. This type of bait uses the Argentine ant's greatest weakness, which is the need to feed the queen. It uses this weakness against them, and when the poison infiltrates the colony, it not only kills the working ants, but also the queen, and if you're lucky, all the queens that come in line after her. The queen's death ultimately results in the extermination of the whole colony. These baits attract ants all year long and are most effective when you're using them in early summer or spring, which is when the ants have the slowest population. The results will not be seen right away because it will take about a couple weeks or months for you to see the results. This method is very environmentally friendly. There are also baits available with pheromones, which attract Argentine ants specifically. The baits that have pheromones are very effective. They have a 74% chance of being effective, while those who do not only have a 42% chance. When you're using these baits, there is a risk of spreading the poison to other ant species besides the Argentine ant. While these risks are very low, there is still a possibility. When you're being faced with a larger scale colony, bigger measures need to be taken. Santa Cruz's eradication programs create adaptable protocols for the Argentine ant's eradication. These protocols include a novel toxin delivery system, which is an alternate version of the ant baits mentioned before. This bead solution is dropped across the surface of many acres by plane or helicopter, where ants then start to feed on the surface layer of the bead. These beads work exactly like the baits, and the thiophantoxam will slowly work its way through the colony and poison the queens and the workers. Although this is a very effective way of dealing with a large-scale infestation, it requires a lot of foresight, planning, and countless outside resources. This is not a solution for a household infestation.
Thank goodness.
That's been our show.
Thank you for tuning in to FAD, who gives you the news on freaking ants, dude!